Text APLU Personalized Learning Consortium.
Hi, folks. Just waiting a couple of extra seconds for everybody to fall into the room together collectively. Glad to see you staying with us for the duration of the event today.
Text APLU Personalized Learning Consortium. Megan Tassine, she, her. Megan speaks.
Looks like I'm seeing that number stabilize a little bit. All right, cool. So again, thank you so much for sticking with us for what is our 4-hour event today. You are in the Designing for Equity with Digital Learning and Educational Technologies session. Again, we're grateful to have you join us for this final session of the Inclusive Summit. As has been mentioned before, there is going to be a short survey at the end of the event at 4 p.m. You'll earn a digital badge, and then you also get your name entered into a raffle for a gift card. Once again, if you weren't at the initial kickoff, I'm Dr. Megan Tassine. I'm the director of the Personalized Learning Consortium at APLU. Prior to joining APLU, I worked at the Center of Teaching and Learning and Online Education at Georgia State University, where I help support faculty across a variety of disciplines adopt and implement technology into their redesigned courses. I've also taught undergraduate courses in sociology at Georgia State University and the University of Northern Iowa. So I'm happy to be part of this conversation with my colleague and friend, Dr. Chris Ziska-Strange. She's the Associate Director of Faculty Development and Instructional Design at Tufts University. Chris, did you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and add anything else about who you are and why you're here today?
Yeah, for those of you who are wondering what I teach game design and culture for University of Arizona. So I get to go in and talk to people about video games and how they impact the way that we play and talk to each other within gaming contexts. I also teach a few library and student engagement courses for different places. But my context within all of this, because why am I here? I got to be an instructional designer and
The person smiles.
participant, I guess, in the communities of practice. So I got to talk and engage and think through all of these things with all of the disciplines and try to figure out, with my instructional design hat on, how are the best ways that we can do this? And one of the things that I'm really good at is educational technology and trying to figure out the technology that's best going to do the things that we want to do in our classes. And I've been teaching online for better part of over a decade at this point. So I've broken things in ways and discovered things along the way, and I'm happy to pass along that information to you. And that was the longest introduction I've ever done for myself.
Well, we appreciate it, Chris. So thank you for that. And we're glad to have you join us, not only in the communities of practice work that APLU has done, but also here today, because we appreciate your expertise. So today's event has really centered on how faculty can really center equity and what the student, what does teaching look like when we're really centering the student and how that might transform the classroom. We've heard from students and faculty on the challenges that they face in the classroom, as well as some of the applied strategies that faculty are actually using to best serve their students with these goals in mind. The purpose of this session, we're going to review how instructional design strategies, as well as educational technologies, can help support faculty to better connect with their students and create educational experiences that are engaging, those that create a sense of belonging and community for their students, and what does it mean to do this in a way that promotes equity in learning and educational experience for our students. We'll have some interactivity throughout the session and prompts, and you're of course welcome, just like with many of the other sessions. Please use the chat, chime in there, submit questions there. If you have resources and other things that you're using, we encourage you to share that information. We'll also have a collaborative document that we'll be sharing with you momentarily. But first, let's set the stage on what you were saying, Chris, in terms of how do we use learning technology in support of this. I really want us to stop for a moment. I know we've been talking about equity throughout the day, but let's pause for a moment and talk about it from an instructional design and learning technology standpoint. And to that end, I looked to you for your expertise since you've been in this area for quite some time. I'm just going to pose the question to you. What does equitable design mean from an instructional design standpoint? What does equitable teaching mean in terms of choosing and integrating different learning technologies in the classroom experience? What are the, I guess, general framework that our friends and colleagues in instructional design and learning technology, how are they framing those questions? And how are we thinking about them?
I mean, if we had solid answers to all of these, we would all be millionaires, and it's changing the way education is done. But when I start thinking about equitable design, of course, as we've talked about equitable design all day today, it is making sure that all individuals in our class are included and planned for and thought about as we design what we're doing. And that is something as simple as making sure that you make space for different experiences. What I mean is, like, okay, I'm going to tell a story. Here we go. So my class is taught online for University of Arizona State Institution. I have students that are all over the world. And I got an email from a student a couple semesters ago who was like, hey, I'm a service member on a ship. I get internet pretty infrequently. My plan is this: I'm going to download, I'm going to do all the things. I'm going to have to post everything basically like the very last day of classes. Is that okay? And so I had to rethink about the way that I've designed my class so that, number one, is everything downloadable? Like, can he download everything and access it? If I have conversations that are happening asynchronously through, I use Discord because Discord's where gamers tend to go to chat. Is he missing out on anything? Is he getting an equitable experience in the course by not being able to participate until Sunday night? When I do video-based things, so students had the opportunity to turn in a video-based podcast episode, can he do that? Because there's sensitive things around him, by him, he might not have direct access to a webcam. Like, so as you're designing, thinking about those little pieces that happen, and thinking through those, oh, geez, my brain, thinking through those little pieces, like, what do I do if a student doesn't have access to something? What do I do if a student doesn't have stable internet? And making plans for that. So what does equitable teaching mean in terms of integrating technology into the classroom experience? It really is thinking about all of the populations that exist in your class. Are we creating structures for students to work appropriately together? Have we taught them how to collaborate? I know it feels weird when we talk about teaching college students how to collaborate, but you think about it, like, have they ever actually been taught how to disagree with somebody in your discipline, in your field, in a classroom? Oh, I'm not sharing anything yet, Julie. I apologize. I'll share it in a moment. Is there my brain just shut off. Are there places that I can build in places for people to share their experiences? Because not everybody has had the same experience with me as gaming. So how do I build in places for students to talk about the games that exist in their cultures, the games that exist in their worlds, their personal experience with games? And how do I make that a protective space? So how do I make space for somebody who might not be 100% comfortable sharing their story to share it in a safe way that they're not going to be judged or ridiculed or harassed? Like, how do I set that stuff up? Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. A lot of the same themes that are really kind of you're hitting on align with what we've been hearing today from some of our colleagues and in the other sessions.
The person looks up.
Really thinking about not only, showing up for students, but and allowing, like, how do we create spaces where students feel that they can show up as themselves, right? And not feel alienated in the classroom, that they can show up as their best selves and be successful in our courses. And what is our responsibility as educators to show up for them, to help create those opportunities, to be flexible, to make sure that things are accessible for them as well. So I appreciate you speaking on those. So what we're going to spend some time doing here today is Chris is going to be sharing a variety of educational tools as well as instructional design strategies that folks can use to do student engagement, help support student sense of belonging and community building, and thinking about this from an equity standpoint, and then also what might this look like across modalities. So Chris, I'll hand it over to you. I know you've got a document to share, and we're going to kind of work through that together, and then I'll let you do your thing. I'm seeing that in the chat for folks.
Yeah,
Sure
so
you
I just
can
shared it
access
in the chat. And you all are getting a taste of what it's like to be in Dr. Strange's classroom. So welcome. This is the stuff that I subject pretty much everybody who attends a faculty development with me or is in my class. We do a lot of collaborative note taking. So I'm going to share my screen really quick. And hopefully I share the right one, because I shared my email for about 45 minutes the other day and nobody called me out on it. So you should be seeing a document on your screen, or if you don't want to watch my screen, if you would rather interact yourself, it should say Designing for Equity with Digital Learning and Educational Technologies. So for each one of the three areas, technically four, but three areas that we're talking about today, there is a table. There is a technology that I've considered using, or a technology that I would use. All of these are what I consider to be fantastic freebies. So they're ones that are out there available for free with like limitations and or something that your institution might have adopted. And I know it says instructional design strategy, but it's an idea of how you could use this, and then modality consideration. So if you're doing this online, or if you're considering to use this, what are the considerations that just me as a, or you as an outright would have as you do it? And it's a table. So feel free to share if you have any that you love, or any tools that you love to use for any of these three. It's not set in stone, but I gave my first round to you all. So with engaging students, what we're talking about is engaging students on, there's three levels of engagement when we talk about student engagement. I'm going to put on my ID hat for a moment. We have student to content. That is your students messing around with the content, learning it, poking it, trying to figure out where the bounds and all the ideas are with it. There is student to instructor. So you talking to your students and having that interaction. And then there is student to student. So those student to student collaborations that we have. And one of the ones that I absolutely love, I haven't used Loom in this way yet. I use a different program that's not free, but I wanted to focus on free. Loom was brought up in an instructional design meeting I had with my lovely instructional designers, some of whom I can see here today. But Loom is a screen recording software that allows you to record what's going on your screen, record yourself, but it allows for interactions. And how I've used something like this before is in digging deeper in the content. So with my students, what I will do is, my students come to me with varying levels of background and varying levels of skill. So if I'm covering a concept, so we're talking about gaming, we're talking about library instruction, and I start talking about, let's do library instruction because that's a little bit better. We're talking about library instruction and we're talking about student engagement. And I say, whenever I'm designing instruction, I think of the ARCS model, and then I move on with my life thinking everybody knows what I mean by the ARCS model. With Loom, what I can do is I can actually mark that timestamp and give a link so that somebody can bring themselves up to speed on what the ARCS model is.
Table.
So it's kind of neat to be able to do that skill building that will allow students to self-regulate their learning and dig in where they can or where they're interested. But on the other side, and how I've used it within the communities of practice, just digging deeper in general, is allowing people to dig in where their interests lie. So maybe student engagement and the ARCS model isn't necessarily something that you've heard of before, you've read it a little bit and you're really excited about it. Digging deeper will allow students to get that more information and get relevant, pertinent, solid information vetted by me there. USIA is actually, we're looking at that at my institution as well. And that was one of the things I was super excited about. The other thing that I thought of with Loom, USIA does it as well, and so does another software called PlayPosit, is allowing, or not PlayPosit, GoReact, is student conversations, allowing students to have conversations around the conversation that you're having in the video, which sounds weird, But like maybe I said something that's really cool, like Stardew Valley is the best game ever. It's absolutely perfect, and go on with my life. Stardew Valley is a video game. My students can actually put in a comment that says like, actually, Stardew Valley is kind of crappy because, you know, it doesn't allow you to shift identities. It doesn't allow you to modify the way that you look. Therefore, I feel excluded. Like it allows students to have conversations around the things that you're talking about. Like, oh, I don't understand number 3. You went kind of fast. What happens if X actually equals 7? So it allows those things to happen. With modality considerations, some of the things that concern me as I look at things like Loom and I look at things like Yuja, number 1 is not so much with Yuja, but because it might be integrated into your system, but Loom is external. Students are clicking on a link, they're going outside of your LMS. That can be very difficult for students that are on limited internet or are on like Chromebooks, for example, on technology that's not necessarily meant for multiple windows being open. It can slow things down. The other concern that I have with Loom is content and student privacy. One of the things that I talk about with faculty all the time, and I talk about with myself, like, and I consider with myself, is content privacy. Where does my content go? Who has access to it? So with Loom, because it is something external, students making comments, granted, it's locked down, but what if I don't copy it over right? Students can see each other's comments from semester to semester. Students might reveal something that they probably shouldn't or might be questionable. Like all of these considerations are a part of it.
Strategies on a spreadsheet.
And I'm seeing you all adding stuff in and I'm super excited. Zoom chat. Zoom chat is another amazing way to get students to interact. I always have my chat up. And I'm one of the back channelers too. So I will go in and I will message students one-on-one. Like I can back channel Megan and say, hey, Megan, you look kind of sad today. Is everything okay? Like it's allowing you to make those connections, which is a little bit later, but Zoom chat is fantastic for that. I love that I'm seeing Google Jamboard. Google Jamboard, for those of you who don't know, is a free technology. It looks a little weird at first because it seems like you have to buy something, but you don't, but it allows you to whiteboard, which is awesome. VoiceThread, again, another really cool one to get students to share and to have videos. VoiceThread, I love to use for introductions because you get like the students as they are whenever they hit record, which is fantastic. I love seeing my students as they are in the moment introducing themselves. And then you always get like the awesome random cat coming through, which I'm here for as well.
Text, Padlet, Google Voice.
Google Voice phone number is another great freebie that's out there. Hypothesis is, you all have amazing ideas. I'm here for this. The Hypothesis has if you're using a free and open
text, create.
Article, like if you go to npr.org or you go to, I'm trying to think of news outlets right now. My brain just keeps shutting off. But Hypothesis will allow you to create a small group of your students and have conversations around those things. And I've seen Hypothesis used in really cool ways with bringing in real world application of concepts. So if you're talking about what does it mean for students or for a person to, something that's going on in my class that just ended was we were talking about ways that gamification exists in government. And it's been really interesting to see how gamification and games exist in our real world around government and politics, and allowing students to go in and make comments about the things that they're seeing. Like right here, if people are commenting about this thing that's gamified, it's really engaging people in a way, but and allowing them to have conversations that way. Perusall is another one that does exactly what Hypothesis does, only it allows you to upload videos and audio and pictures. I'm really surprised I know all of these technologies these days. There's so many cool things out there with this. And I don't want to take up too much of our time gushing about student engagement. I will stay here all day if you let me. But again, Miro is another great one. If you're looking for whiteboarding technology, Miro is free for anybody in education, but it's a whiteboarding thing. And there's some really cool check-ins that you can do with it if you're looking for an easy way to check in with your students. And again, I'm down here creating belongingness and everything else, but you can create check-ins with Miro. So a lot of times with meetings with people that I don't know very well, I'll do check-ins and have them like, you're on a desert island and you're gonna bring these things, and have people bring in sticky notes of what they would bring. Having students do sorting activities and those kinds of things, like what is more important on the quadrant of prioritization of, okay, where are we on these things? How would you structure this build for a game, which deals with my stuff. Some of these I actually don't know. Capwing I've never heard of, and I'm excited to see a little bit more about that. But I'll stop rambling.
One thing I wanted to chime in for, just with one of the comments, and we've seen some additional, we see VoiceThread and Perusall also being recommended in the chat. Just acknowledging that it can be overwhelming. There's a lot of stuff out there. So if a faculty member is coming to you or to your team and they're just like, I don't even know where to get started, this is too much. What advice do you offer them?
Try one. Seriously, pick one.
Text Wakelet.
As a tech nerd, I will 100% play with anything that if all of you come into my office and you're like, hey, I'm interested in this thing, I will absolutely play with it. But as a person who's teaching courses, my courses typically have anywhere from 80 to 200 students in it. I always tell people pick one, because if it breaks, it's okay. I can replace it very easily. I'm not trying 3 different technologies. It also means that my students aren't going out to 3 different places and getting 3 different experiences. Pick one that you're interested in and play with it. Make sure that you're posting an initial thing. So like something that's low stakes. For example, that's why I use whiteboards as a check-in for my students, because if I check in with them on a whiteboard, that's low stakes. If a student doesn't get to share with me how they're feeling that day, it's not
The slide shows tables.
like end all be all. It's not going to affect their grade, but it does give them a chance to play with it in a low stakes environment. Then I do something a little bit less low stakes, like, okay, let's do a very brief review of last week, or a very brief, a reading reflection, like grab a sticky note and post to me about what you thought about this article on Resident Evil, and do that kind of thing. Then I will use it for an assessment. I won't use it for an assessment or for a big grade, meaning something that is going to affect them until I have done both of the low stakes, like no stakes and low stakes, check in with them. And yeah, Tim said something awesome. Realize that any tool a faculty chooses is going to come up with a startup cost. There is time for you and time that must be invested in that tool. So being careful how that is spent. And that's why that third column is so important, is thinking about the things that can be barriers. So as I think through, like, what is the cost to my students' privacy? Is it worth it? And for me, with my students, especially when I have something that is a collaborative, has collaborative projects later on, my students having to give up just a little bit of privacy to record a video, or having to give up a little bit of privacy to show a picture of something that's important to them, pays out in dividends when it comes time for them to collaborate with somebody, because then they have a face and it's no longer an anonymous person. It's now a person that they've engaged with and a person that they've seen. So realizing some of those costs as well. I'll pull everyone. You guys are giving me so many great technologies. But yeah, it is overwhelming. And what do you choose? The what of it actually is, what's your end goal? For me, as I look at something like Loom, or using something where my students are engaging with a video this way, my end goal is that I want them to be able to look at a video of somebody playing a game and do an evaluation of it. So I'm teaching them a skill that they're going to have to use later. I'm giving them experience doing something that they're going to have to do later. So the big question is, like, what is my goal with using this technology? Am I using it just because some random lady named Dr. Strange told me about it at 3 o'clock in an afternoon? Probably not the best idea. But if you're using it because it will help them with a skill or will give them an experience that's important, that is absolutely tantamount. A friend of mine, Flower Darby, always says, don't use tech as a band-aid, use tech for a purpose. Throwing Flower out there for a moment. Creating belongingness, what I mean by creating belongingness and the way that I think about it in this context is making people feel like they belong as a part of this group. Like, I am so excited that every single one of you have joined me here today. I hope you all feel like your voice is heard, like the conversation is important and that it's relevant to you. And that all in a classroom, especially in your class that lasts for like 16 weeks, has a lot of collaborative parts to it. It's important. And especially for the types of populations that I deal with in my classes, the types of populations that I'm sure you all have in your classrooms, it's important for them to feel a part of something. It's important for them to feel and to know that they belong here. And so one of the ways that I build that, it used to be called Flipgrid. It's now a Microsoft product. Didn't catch on to that shift over, but that's fun. It's Flipgrid or Flip. I'll do weekly check-ins with my students. I've used it before in this way and it's kind of fun, but it gives the students a chance to show their face, to make connections to other people. And I'll ask dumb questions as a part of it. It's like, okay, this week for this week's check-in, I want to hear your greatest achievement for the week and show me one thing that made you smile, or talk to me about how the item to your right will save you during the zombie apocalypse. And so I'll make dumb little challenges for them, but it brings them out of their hole, brings them out of their shell, gets them to be a little bit silly, kind of takes the tension of my class down a little bit. A lot of my students are coming from engineering backgrounds where every single grade matters, and the second you get a B, you're failing out of the program. So giving them that chance to be human, to be silly, is really important. The other thing I love using Flipgrid for is reading reactions. Getting my students to read has been a little challenging lately. And I mean, over the last 3 years, I don't know what's been going on. Just kidding, I know what's been going on. But getting my students to kind of react to things and to take that first step about talking about the things that we read has been really challenging. And Flipgrid gives me a chance for my students to take a question and to just kind of react to it. So you read the blah, blah, blah article. What was the one thing you took away from that? What was the one thing you noticed? What's the one question you have? Like, throwing that one thing out there for them so that they can just kind of download on it and see that other people are talking about it too. Or another way that I've done it is, you've read blah, blah, blah. What is one way you would apply that to the game that we're playing this week? Or what is one way that you would apply that to your own project design? Because my students have to design a game, of course, as a part of it. The considerations that I throw out there is that, again, it's video based. So there's accessibility concerns. If you are recording something with audio, you have to make sure that your captions are there, and Flipgrid just doesn't have that as an option that I've found yet. If you found it, please give me a link. The other thing is that personal and private spaces are being exposed. I think this is the first time I've been in a presentation that somebody hasn't mentioned my skateboard or my Mario doll. I'm calling you all out on it. So private spaces are being shown. So knowing that some students might not be comfortable with that, or talking them through what is an appropriate background, maybe not necessarily a Star Wars skateboard deck, but with my students, a lot of times I have to say, like, don't do it while you're laying in bed, choose a plain background, like talking them through other people are going to be watching this. They probably don't want to see your pillows. And the other thing to be cognizant of is that it does require a certain level of bandwidth for them to watch. So it might not be the greatest choice for my student who is on the ship, or it might not be the best choice for some of my students that live out in the res where there's not very great Wi-Fi access or internet access for them. Poll Everywhere is another one that I love. Poll Everywhere is great for check-ins too. So if you're looking for a way to do a very brief check-in on, I've seen it used for quizzes and knowledge checks to make sure that students have read what they were supposed to do or practice what they were supposed to do. It's great for, I do GIF reactions on it. Like, how much does this GIF match with insert the topic that we're talking about? Vocaroo, I've never heard of, so this is what I'm gonna have to poke in on. And of course VoiceThread. But the main thing that I'm looking at with creating belongingness is creating a space for students to have and share their experiences, number one, to be included, but also for them to see themselves as a part of a bigger whole. An instructional design thing that I love doing that you can do on almost anything for belongingness is calling out students that have contributed something that is really interesting. So discussion boards, a lot of my students push back on them because they're like, nobody ever reads them. I like calling students out. Like, Pat had a really great idea about, and calling out everything that Pat said. It gives you a chance to make a connection to a student, especially in those big classes. It makes them feel good because they've been seen and acknowledged as relevant in your class. And yeah, Courtney, Padlet is great. So just a little thing, like I'll do it in my video updates. But yeah.
Text, a slide titled Reading Reactions.
I feel like I'm barreling through everything, but it's fine. And building community, basically making everybody work together, showing them, for me, the difference between belonging is I belong here, I should be here, and community is I feel like I can reach out and ask Mike a question, or I feel like Laura and I have a similar love of The Office. So connecting people together in a little bit more informal way, and in a professional way. And one of the things that I love doing, if you haven't noticed yet, is using Google Docs to build community, to get people to share and connect and
Text, Google Docs.
have conversations around things. And one of the ways that I've used it that's kind of interesting, I've actually done all three of these, but my favorite one is the group exams. So before my final exam, or before my midterm, or before any kind of exam that I give in my classes, I'll give a group exam. So I'll release a Google Sheet to a small group of students, and I'll give them a question, and they have to answer the question as a group. They can choose which ones they answer. Like maybe I'll do the first one. Maybe I'll have, I need more names. I have the same 5 people in front of me. Maybe I'll have Audrey and Sue do the next one, but you're kind of having the students regurgitate their knowledge as a part of a group and work together to answer the questions, and they all get the score on the exam. So Google Docs are great for that because a lot of my questions are very open-ended. For example, one of my favorite questions to ask students is, should higher education be gamified? And that's one of the conversations that we have all throughout my gamification courses. But having them kind of work through, like, what are the benefits, what are the drawbacks, and making sure that they have a cohesive argument. So that's always the great part. Check-ins and celebrations with Google Docs.
Digital tool.
I mean, it's so simple, but it's like genius. Pull up a Google Doc like this, share it out to your class, put one topic that says who's here, and have students like, hi, my name's Chris Strange, and talk about how they're feeling. So Chris Strange is here today. I'm feeling a little roasty because it's very hot in New England today. Or, hi, my name is Chris Strange. I'm feeling kind of tired because I didn't sleep very much last night because it was hot. The other part of that is celebrations. Building community is all around us being able to celebrate the things that we are excited about, the things that are going well for us. And so after they check in, they have to find something to celebrate. I do this in my Discord server with my gaming students every single week. What is something we should be celebrating this week? Or what is something that you're celebrating this week? And getting students to getting students to share the little things that are celebratory for them. I passed my bio exam. You get everything from, hey, I found a place to live next week, which is, I mean, awesome in Tucson because it's very expensive and very smooshed, to, hey, I the one thing that happened right before my class ended this semester was one dude, his wife went into labor, he had a baby. So it was his first kid. So we all got to celebrate that. We all got to get to know each other a little bit better. Highs and lows is the greatest way to do that. And I'm Teddy, I love it. And the reason why I love it is because the lows especially show everybody that we're all struggling with the same thing. The thing that I always heard as a student was I seemed like I had everything together, and I'm actually kind of like a duck. I might look calm and cool from the water up, but below my feet are going a mile a minute. Yes, I struggle. Yes, I might have failed that last test. So showing students that everybody is struggling with something is totally cool. And especially when you share, it makes it feel a little less scary. So maybe somebody has a suggestion for you on how you can fix something like the housing thing, finding her house. hey, did you know that University of Arizona has this off-campus resource for you? You can find houses there that are geared towards students. Like, it's great for them to be able to see, number one, that other people are struggling with the same things, but it also helps a resource sharing and helps can make connections. It's kind of awesome.
The slide lists of table with information.
And yes, the creating a sense of belonging and creating that community in your class can help mitigate imposter phenomenon. I know all of you are academics and smart people in your fields. It's something that we all deal with. Like, I was just telling somebody like, hey, I don't feel like I should be the one talking about this. I'm not doing anything revolutionary. I'm not making huge changes, but at the end of the day, like, if even just one of you guys goes out and uses something that I've suggested, I've won. I'm here. It's awesome. So yeah, like it does help you feel a little bit more like you belong here. Adobe Creative Cloud is also amazing for this. If you're an Adobe Creative Cloud community, a school, campus, there we go. Campus is the word. Being able to use some of those things, Canva, if you're looking for a free version. I have an English professor that I used to support that teaches Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And she makes all of her students turn themselves into Dr.
The
Jekyll,
screen shows a table.
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde or Mrs. Hyde, and do the split. So they get to learn all about Adobe Creative Cloud and Photoshop and Illustrator, but they also get to see themselves as a part of the book and talk about the themes that are a part of it. There's also Adobe Express is free for everybody. And it works a lot like Canva, but students can make like little signs. They can, I just minimized that. Students can make signs, can make infographics. It's really great. Adobe Spark is another great one. I've seen Spark used for students who are presenting research or research ideas. It creates a beautiful website so that students can show their ideas in a really put together and great way. Yeah, Spark has been rebranded as Express. But yeah, so like you're creating ways for students to share their information in a visually appealing way that's going to be taken seriously because it looks good. Because let's be honest, whenever they just write things on a piece of paper, it looks a little weird. But yeah.
Text group exams.
So I have rambled quite a bit. I hope that you all continue to add to this. I'm scrolling through Animoto. So many great things on here. But I want to make space for you all to ask questions, to give each other ideas, find answers. Anybody have any questions, cares, concerns? Sorry.
Yeah, we've got about 8 minutes left, so we'd like to open it up to you all. I've got some backup questions in my hand just in case, but based on what we've been seeing coming in the collaborative document, we've had a lot of folks adding things. So I'll open it up and invite folks to ask Chris questions while we've got her expertise, or if others want to add some comments, because I know we have a lot of folks who have their own personal experience that they potentially even want to share with the group while we're all here together sharing these ideas together.
Slides visible.
And you can do that in the chat, or feel free to unmute yourself and speak up.
Text student surveys. Learn about students in your class. Back channel chat, connections, and support.
I'm just going to +1 what Shelley put in here. The challenging part of some of these tools is creating alternatives. And the big thing is creating
tool names.
Equitable alternatives. Because if the purpose of using something is to get students to see each other and to interact with each other, having somebody just write something out and, post it some random place isn't an equitable experience. It is always good to have alternatives.
So we've implemented HighFlex. Anybody familiar with that?
Yep.
And we got the grant and started it right before the pandemic. Oh my gosh. It was, we've used online learning and virtual sessions, all that stuff, but had Zoom, but that just, even as a pilot, it went so well. So the thing about that is that if you don't know, it has, students can choose 3 modalities of they can come face-to-face, they can attend synchronously, or they can attend online. So, and there are online sections of this course, but the first couple of times I've done it, signed up and just went straight online. And so how to encourage them to do synchronous or asynchronous, and maybe that sense of belonging would help with that. And then, but making the assignments, like if you're not there, if you're having interactive, to make that assignment equitable and, you know, to me, it's just, I don't know, it's pretty hard. I'm not sure I actually accomplished that.
HyFlex is difficult for everybody because, I mean, you think about it, you as a presenter, as a person who is in the front of the room, you pay attention to the people who are directly in front of you, and the students online sometimes get forgotten, or maybe an experience that happens in the class or a question that happens in a class doesn't hit so great for the students who are attending later. HyFlex is a whole challenge. I think everybody's struggling with it, and I don't know that anybody has felt like they've done it well.
Well, I have two that have made this fall semester, so we're working on that. We have a lot of things in place to I mean, we have a good team helping us. So
The person gestures.
yeah, that is. And then what I ended up doing was I spent more time dealing with the people online because it was new to them and their accessibility issues and those issues. And so the people in class, you know, the feedback from the students was really good. Oh, I agree with you, Pam. Our administrators love it.
Thanks, Teddy. And I do see we've got at least one person in the audience who's Alexis. Apparently has nailed the HyFlex model. So we've got some folks who are doing that and feel that it's going well. If you want to chime in, you're welcome to. Otherwise, one of the things I was going to ask you, Chris, so one of the reasons we wanted to bring folks together for this event is, you know, from a lot of our other work that we've done around kind of communities of practice, right? We're bringing people together to talk to each other, to share ideas, to learn from each other's experiences, right? Just even hearing what other folks are doing on other campuses and what's going well and what's not, and how we might apply that in our own setting. But one of the questions that I have for you, Chris, would be, you know, if folks feel like they're not necessarily getting the support that they need from their own institution, where are some places that they can go, right? When it comes to instructional design, when it comes to getting support around how do I even figure out this learning technology stuff and doing it in a way that will ensure that I'm designing equitable learning experiences for students.
You're asking the hard questions.
I am, but I sent it to you earlier, so you knew it was coming.
So there are a ton of communities out there focused on online learning. Like one thing I suggest really is to find your people out in professional organizations. Like
Slide text community.
The my brain just totally not okay. The one place that I always go to, and I know because I've partnered with them a lot, OLC for me, finding other people. They might not teach in the same area. Like I haven't found too many other people who teach gaming cultures out in the world, but there are people who teach biology that have done some pretty awesome things that I'm like, yep, using that. So I go out and I talk to people. Like I genuinely am interested in Alexis and what's working so well in the HyFlex for them. It's asking questions. It's the hallway. I know hallway conversations have kind of died a little bit in recent years, but it really is going out and talking to people about like, hey, one person that I supported was like, I'm really tired of my students saying, yes, I agree, and then repeating the same thing the person said before them. And he mentioned that to somebody that he works with in the department who teaches a different language. And they were like, oh yeah, so what I've done is basically you don't get any points if you say, yes, I agree, or no, I disagree at the beginning of your post. You have to find another way to say it. Other places is Twitter. Yes, Twitter is a great place. There's another group called pedago.me. It's all instructional designers from all over the place. You could wholeheartedly go in there and like, you know, hey, I'm having this challenge. The other thing that I do is just I go through what other people are doing with the technology and look for inspiration there as well. A lot of these yeah, Raquel just Kel's stealing my thunder, man. So going out and seeing what other people are doing. So Monet. No, it's not Monet.
Blogs.
It's a wine that's red.
It's Merlot.
Merlot. Thank you. Merlot is out there giving you examples of different ways that you can engage your students. It's kind of like a lesson plan list, not a lesson, ideas. Thank you, Deborah. Adobe Education Exchange is another, like they kind of give you ideas of how they're using Adobe products.
Text table column header.
I'll go out there and wholeheartedly steal stuff that K-12 people are doing in online modalities and shift it up, because a lot of times those are great for like getting students to lean in and show that they know something, like those lower level of knowledge, and then ramp it up. And plus, like K-12 people are great at doing things with very little or no money. Open Education Global is another great one.
Blog examples.
That is the first time I've ever forgotten Merlot. So there's that. But yeah, so the final thing is keep coming to stuff like this. I mean, really, if you find somebody who does something kind of off the wall, kind of weird, I've made so many amazing connections just by kind of going off and attending weird sessions. Like I will wholeheartedly attend a session meant for people who teach physics just to see how they're covering hard concepts and see what ideas I can get. So just keep going out there and listening and looking. And my final suggestion is there is a podcast out there that kind of talks about some of the challenges that I have as an instructor. You might as well. It's Teaching in Higher Ed. It's kind of an older podcast. It's been going on forever, but they bring in some interesting people and talk about a lot of the same things that we've been struggling with. Like, how do I do HyFlex in a way that is empathetic towards my students? How do I engage students that are just done 100% just on the nope train? Lecture breakers I have not heard of before, but I am 100% gonna look them up.
Text ediblogs.
And a lot of times I'll chase people down in Teaching in Higher Ed and see where else they're posting. Medium.com seems to be a place where a lot of them go and like kind of post stuff up. All right, now you all are giving me way too many podcasts to listen to. T for Teaching podcast, I'm here for it. There also is EdSurge. If you're looking for technology specific, EdSurge is great. They've gotten a little too technical for my taste these days, but they some of their older articles talk about some pretty cool applications of technology. Think UDL is another good one. UDL is a great place to go for ideas, anything that's UDL related, because they're talking about all the different ways that you can demonstrate knowledge and assess knowledge. Dead Ideas in Teaching and Learning. Cult of Pedagogy is another one that I love. Yes, you guys are great. But I am going to have to hush because I'm going to make you all late to your next thing.
Well, and we're all staying in the same room, which is nice. And our colleague who's doing the closing remarks is already in the room with us. So we'll just do a quick transition over. But I just want to say a big thank you to Chris just for being here and sharing your expertise and helping facilitate this conversation and sharing this document. And I included it in the chat and just let folks know that this document, as well as many of the other shared documents, PowerPoints, recordings from today, those are all going to be saved on a Google shared space. We will be emailing that to all of you so you can reference it later, so you can pull this and feel free to continue using this as a live document to add to and see what sort of resources your colleagues from across the country are thinking about using and things that you might want to check out for yourself. So we are about to close out. I'm about to hand things over to Dr. Jessica Rowland-Williams, who is the director of Every Learner Everywhere. Before I do that, I have to once again do the shameless plug for, we've got a survey at the end. You can win some money potentially. So please enter your information there. That'll also help us reach out to you with those materials that I mentioned. So Jessica, without further ado, I'll kick it over to you and you can close us out. And thanks so much.
Yeah, hey guys, thank you so much for attending this incredible event. I've had the opportunity to sit in on all the sessions myself. I'm Jessica Rowland-Williams, Director of Every Learner Everywhere. As you can tell, we are a network of organizations. We have 12 incredible partners, including folks you've seen here, APLU, Achieving the Dream, OLC is one of our partners, We've got a bunch of other really incredible partners who work together collaboratively to do exactly what we did today, which is bring you resources and experts and tips and tricks and tools to help continue to center equity in your digital learning solutions and
Lower left, Jessica.
Implementation, and just as you continue to try new things. I want to just, as we close with a couple of remarks. One, I just want to extend just incredible gratitude to all the folks that are on this call and doing this work. Many of you all are right on the front lines. When we talk about equity in higher ed and students and centering students and being innovative, you know, we're really talking about faculty and instructors and instructional designers who are right there at the very front, you know, making all that progress, but also taking all the hits, right? And seeing all those challenges and having to push through all those really, you know, tough times. And so I just want to extend so much gratitude. The last 2 years have been really, really, really tough for a lot of reasons. But we're here and we're still pushing this forward and still supporting students in, you know, pursuing their dreams and their passions and their highest potential. And for many of us, that's what this work is all about. And so I appreciate you so much. I also want to come back to what, you know, Dr. Garth McCullough said at the beginning. You know, we have this incredible opportunity to get rid of the equity gloss. She said, you know, stop the gap gazing, stop approaching the work in the ways that we have traditionally, and really make real change, make real effort. And some of the hardest part of that is moving from the why to the how, right? I think we're all here because we care and we want to do the right things and we are passionate about this. But then when it comes down to like how you do that work, it's where it gets really tricky. And I appreciate this workshop today because we had the opportunity to really get into the how, the nitty gritty, and all the speakers and even the students and faculty and practitioners, folks who contributed, helped us to really think about what that how looks like. And of course, that how doesn't stop today, right? There is no expectation that you are now certified, gold star, you know, ready to go. You don't need any more support. We know that this work is hard and will continue to be hard. And while you may be feeling energized and have some new tools, you're going to continue to need that community, you know, that Dr. Strange just was talking about, community, and just continue to have those resources. And that's what we're here for. That's what the Every Learner Network is all about, is providing you with those resources and tools and community and best practices and experts and webinars and services and, you know, all of the things that you need to continue to push this work forward and stay informed and educated and even uplifted. So stay connected with us. Stay connected with Every Learner. Please subscribe to our
Jessica gestures.
you know, our newsletter. We have a monthly newsletter. Please follow us on Twitter. Please stay in contact with us as you continue, so you can continue to hear about resources that we're releasing and more events like this that we're hosting. Again, I'm just so honored that you spent half a day with us today. And I hope that we can continue to support you along the way and also learn from you and learn from each other as we continue on this journey. I am not one to want to hold you after you've been with us for 4 hours already, so I won't go on and on. I will pause there. But again, just so appreciative of you and the work that you're doing. And I hope that you continue to allow every learner to be a part of your journey. That's it. Thank you so much.
Text, Cindy Caldwell.
Back over to you, Megan.
I think Mike is going to take it from here. Thank you so much, Jessica. We appreciate you.
Of course.
Yeah, thank you so much to Dr. Jessica Rowland Williams from the Every Learner Everywhere Network for helping to close us out. As promised, we're going to share a very brief survey with you right now. Appreciate you filling that out just so that we know that you attended. We can give you your digital badges. You'll have a chance to win. You know, we're giving away a $100 and a $50 gift card. So let me go ahead and put that in the chat now.
The person slightly shifts their gaze.
And then we'll reach out by email. We do have a slightly more in-depth survey as well. We didn't want to give that to you now because it's been a long day and we appreciate your bearing with us, but we'll have a more in-depth survey as well that we'll reach out with by email, along with all the other materials from the sessions today, like the PowerPoints, other materials that have been shared in the chat, etc. But really appreciate everyone being here today for the Inclusive Summit and sticking around to the last session.
The person pauses, nods.
thought this was great and really appreciate all of your making time for it over the summer.
The person looks away, turns back.
So thank you so much, everyone. It looks like the one or two people have, maybe one person had a problem with the form. Just send me an email. It looks like it's working for most people, but if the survey is not working for you, you can send me an email.
Yeah, I didn't get it. Mhm.
Text Pat Patrice, HCC.
Here's another link to the form for anyone who was not able to.
Well, this right here.
Yeah, just put it in the chat. It's just a very quick survey.
Pat looks down.